The last 48 hours have been some of the most overtly anti Semitic in the American media space than I can remember in a very long time. A little bit later, we're going to get to one of the most insane anti Semitic rants I've seen, short of actual Nazis, and it came from Kanye West. That's after. But first, we have to talk about failed former President Donald Trump, seemingly cracking in an authoritarian fascistic tirade against Jews, not only attacking American Jews, but warning American Jews. You'd better appreciate what I've done for you, or things could get very bad. A typical anti-Semitic fascistic tirade, which I'm going to explain to you. Donald Trump went on his platform, Truth Central, known to some as Truth Social. And Donald Trump said the following over the weekend, and I do quote, "No president has done more for Israel than I have. Somewhat surprisingly, however, our wonderful evangelicals are far more appreciative of this than the people of the Jewish faith, especially those living in the U.S. Those living in Israel, though, are a different story. Highest approval rating in the world, by the way, not true. Could easily be prime minister. U.S. Jews have to get their act together and appreciate what they have in Israel. And here's the warning, before it is too late." This is truly disgusting. Disgusting. Now, first, before we get into explaining the layers of anti-Semitism here, just a sort of reality. The evangelical love for Israel and thus support for Republican presidents on that issue has nothing to do with Judaism, and it has nothing to do with Jews. The evangelical love for Israel relates primarily to their biblical belief that if they support Israel, it will accelerate the second coming of Jesus Christ. And implicit in that, depending on which version of Christianity you believe or follow, there is a rapture apocalypse. The Jews eventually do die in some versions of the story. All the Jews, other than 144,000 of them, die. It's bonkers. And so you should judge the evangelical support for Israel as an example of complete and utter religious insanity. It has nothing to do with what Jews like me actually care about or are concerned with. That's number one. Okay. Now, what Donald Trump says here is sadly a classic from the anti-Semitic tropes of history. Why aren't Jews more grateful to me for something I did for them? That is a classic anti-Semitic trope. When Jews don't accept the leader's cult or the cult's leader, whichever way you want to say it, they are seen as implicitly undermining the leader, and they are bad, and maybe they even need to be punished for that. Then there's also the horribly anti-Semitic idea of the good Jews versus the bad ones out in the diaspora. When we talk about the Jewish diaspora, we mean Jews around the world. And I know a lot of this stuff is new to some in our audience and maybe unfamiliar, but that's why we're talking about it. This is a classic. This is a classic. Here are the good Jews, right? The ones either staying within their shtetls or ghettos or whatever, and then sometimes if it's right-wingers, the good Jews in Israel, and then the bad Jews of the diaspora, those bad liberal Jews in the United States and the UK and France and okay, on and on and on. And then, of course, there's also the threat there. That's the other part of it. Get your act together because, you know, people have come after Jews in the past. Things have gotten pretty bad for Jews historically in the past. You'd better get your act together and appreciate Trump before it is too late and bad things start to happen if you don't appreciate me. Now, once you get beyond the anti-Semitism, you also realize that Trump, as well as many others, have absolutely no understanding of the reality of Jews in the United States as a community with interests and priorities that are very different than those of Jews living in Israel, for example. And this goes back to the dual loyalty anti-Semitic trope. There's this idea that, okay, listen, if your parents or grandparents came to the U.S. from Italy or from Germany or from Portugal, there is not this thing that follows you around about, you might still have loyalty to Portugal if it came down to it. Do you choose the US or do you choose Portugal or whatever the case may be? And with Jews, even Jews who have never been to Israel, there's this idea of dual loyalty. Well, I don't know. Here's what's good for the US and here's maybe what's good for Israel. And these American Jews can't really be trusted because they have a loyalty to Israel that might override. Most Jews have never even been to Israel, don't even follow the politics of Israel, internal or foreign policy. Understand that anti-Semitism, while proclaiming that you love Israel, is a standard of the evangelical right, and it's definitely a standard of MAGA. So a disgusting comment from Trump, but nothing compared to Kanye West. Plastic is everywhere we look, and not enough is being done about it. 100 billion plastic bags are used and thrown away every year, but you can help make a change. Our sponsor, Hold On, makes trash and kitchen bags that are heavy-duty, plant-based, non-toxic, and 100% home compostable, which means they break down in weeks rather than decades. They don't fill up our landfills. They don't pollute our oceans. Their Zip Seal kitchen bags come in sandwich or gallon bag sizes to fit your needs. And the best part about Hold On bags is they work. I use them at home. They're just as good as all of the name brand bags. You fill them up, they stretch, and they don't break. Everybody uses trash bags and freezer bags. If you care about the planet, you can do something by using Hold On bags instead. And it's a really easy way to do your part. To shop plant-based bags and replace single-use plastics all over your home, go to holdonbags.com and you'll save 20% with the code PACMAN at checkout. The link is down below.